gentlemen, I am your host, Mr. George Carmona. I'm trying to adjust myself. I sat down late. I did fuck up a little bit. I told Camryn I was like 10 seconds. She told me I had 10 seconds to live. And she earlier on, I had told her I was coaching her through, hey, this is what we got to do. And she hits me with the cleanest. Do you want to tell him what you said? Do you want to tell him what you said?
I just said it's not my first rodeo. I've been doing this for a while.
Debatable. Hold on. Wow. So right now what I'm doing to boost the algorithm, I'm playing in Studio C, Chase on his laptop. I am watching Gridiron Junkeez. So I'm going to be at a steady one viewer all day. I want you to know that, Camryn, so don't get a little overwhelmed. We have never had a live stream in which we had a lot of people watching, so I don't want that to overwhelm you. But we are here to cover week 12 of the NFL. Do you want to frame me up just a tad bit more, and then we go into the week 12. It starts off with Thanksgiving. You know, like gobble, gobble. Thank God that we actually had some good football on Thanksgiving. A lot of people were assuming that what was going to happen on Thanksgiving was the Thanksgiving Day blowouts. And you didn't see anything of the sorts. The one thing that you did see was a Lions team that was inspired. The one thing I did say about the Lions, right? Let's just cover the Thanksgiving Day lines, and then we'll cover the Lions in case you thought that's what I said the first time. But the lines were absolutely disrespectful. The fact that the Lions were getting 9.5, at some places they were getting 10 points, versus a hurt Josh Allen. Let me say that again. Josh Allen is hurt. That is a quarterback who has played extremely tough, extremely physical for an entire football season and now multiple football seasons. And now he's experiencing a little wear and tear. Now, what the Bills wish they could have is they wish they could have a little bit of wiggle room in the AFC East so that they can coast a little bit. But hey, they're not in first place. Miami's in first place. So it's like, okay, although the Bills should have demolished the Lions, are they the same team when Josh Allen is 80%? No. Josh Allen is that entire team. Josh Allen goes down, that team will eventually fizzle out into the playoffs, which is a very real possibility. I mean, we have Matt Barkley, and then there's another dude. I just only know Matt Barkley's because Matt Barkley was on Wisecracks with John Orlando, the host of Action Junkeez, a couple of days ago, and that he was like, dude, Matt Barkley still play? I'm like, let's do a little Google. Actually, no, he was one who told me. He was one who was like, do you know the third string quarterback for the Bills? I was like, not a fucking shot, dude. Like, there's no chance I knew who that is. And he was like, oh, yeah, no, it's Matt Barkley. And then I realized, Matt Barkley actually tossed a lot of touchdowns to this man, Marquise Lee, over here. But anyways, back to how the people were just disrespectful to the Lions. My Thanksgiving Day parlay included the Lions +9, the Giants +9.5, 10 in some places, and then Patriots money line, which we'll get to that. That was a loser, obviously. But it was just disrespectful. The Lions team plays hard. They're actually really talented. Like, Amon-Ra St. Brown is quite possibly in the top 3 best receivers in the league. Jared Goff is actually not shitty. Like, Jared Goff, for as much crap as we've given him, right, we can say the same thing that we said about Jimmy Garoppolo. He is a Super Bowl quarterback. That happened, right? But I don't want to spend too much time on this game. The Lions didn't close it out at the end. They gave Josh Allen a little bit too much time, 23 seconds. It's kind of outrageous to say it was too much time, but it was. And they go down and they get that dub. Now we're moving on to the second game. That was the Giants and the Cowboys game. The Giants did exactly what I thought in division rival would do, right? They play close. I even said to Gio earlier in the week here at the studio, there's no way that it's disrespect. That's another thing. It's just disrespectful. Back to the disrespectful word. It's disrespectful line to be getting 9.5 points when you actually don't have that bad of a team. Daniel Jones starting to prove himself. He's mobile. I really like the vibe of the offense. And when it comes to nut crunching time, they still have an insane defensive line. I'm trying to do better at like remembering the names of these defensive linemen, but at the same time, like they're filtering these guys in. This is like when I'm thinking about how hockey and football relate to each other, defensive lines are like shift changes, like constantly. Every 2 plays, they give these big 340-pound guys a break, a breath, and then they come back in fresh. It's genius, and that's what they're able to do. But I'm trying to remember some of their names because the Giants have an insane defensive line. Absolutely shut down the Cowboys for the most part, but then, the Cowboys did Cowboy-like things at the end. They pull that one out. I need to pull up the scores for these, Camryn, so I don't sound like a babbling buffoon when I'm discussing them. The Bills beat the Lions 28-25, but I told you about that. And the Cowboys beat the Giants 28-20. Moving on to whether or not the Cowboys are that for real team. The Cowboys are for real. Let's not act like they're not for real. I'm sitting them next to me. I think, barring another Dak Prescott type really bad injury, or if Micah Parsons goes down, they're going to make it. They're going to make it to the NFC Championship game. They're going to make it relatively far. I would not be surprised if this is like the first time in God knows how long that the Cowboys make it back to the Super Bowl. Nobody heard you cough, darling. You're okay. But let's move on to that afternoon game or the evening game, right? We were talking about primetime Kirk Cousins here. Could primetime's Kirk Cousins get it done? He did. He didn't have that horrific of a stat line, but Mac Jones also just played out of his ass. What? Played out of his ass? Yeah. You got to remember, click the foot pedal.
Oh, yeah.
And then show the people. I got Camryn behind the decks today. Let's give me a sip.
It's a new camera angle, so I got to...
Camryn, why do we have red in the studio right now?
Because we won a bet. I'm plus $10.
Say it again. Say it again.
We won a bet.
We're hot.
Do I look at the camera or should I look at you to make it less direct?
It's up to you. I mean, I've never really put that much thought into it. Kirk Cousins was 30 for 37 for 299 yards, 3 touchdowns, and what an interception. They could not run the ball against Bill Belichick. That Patriots team, that's what I'm saying. The AFC East, it is a nitty-gritty, tough, rugged. People say the NFC East is, the most difficult division in sports right now. I would beg to differ. I really do think, although people hype up the Commanders, like they're not all that good. And I'm trying to think of the other team in that division. You got the Cowboys, the Commanders, the Eagles. Cowboys, Commanders, Eagles. Oh my gosh. Giants. Boom. But it doesn't matter. I still think the AFC East is the most tough team. Okay, I'm going to say that again because this is going to be a clip. The AFC East is a better division than the NFC East for these reasons. Josh Allen, Mike McDaniels, Bill Belichick. Enough said. I don't need to go any further than that. It's just, I think that right there alone, having to prepare for that is more difficult than preparing for a Dak Prescott, Taylor Heineke. I'm not going to put Jalen Hurts in that situation. Daniel Jones, pretty tough to play against. He's starting to get to that point, but Daniel Jones still probably pretty easy to beat. And I know I was kind of comparing quarterbacks and systems there, but at the same time, the systems are proving to work, especially in Miami. They fucking ran shop today. But we're going to get to that Week 12 game. Closing off on the Vikings, right? So now it's like the Vikings and the Cowboys in the front running of the NFC. And it's 2 teams in which I feel everybody has a little bit of like doubt, right? There's just a little piece of them that are like, is this going to work out? We're most likely going to primetime Kirk Cousins. People always keep saying that shit. And then people always think about Dallas in games that actually matter, right? I know I said earlier, I was like, Dallas is a team that can make it far to the NFC Championship, and they can, right? And they have been there, but would they win the game? That's the million-dollar question. I think they're setting up themselves pretty nicely, though. I would like the Cowboys, obviously, they crushed the Vikings when they played 2 weeks ago. Like the Cowboys, that was when they beat them 40-3. Remember, it was like this game is fucking. They completely ran shop on them. I think the same thing would happen, but I don't think those two teams match up in the NFC Championship again, anyways. Moving on to the start of Sunday, it was a great Turkey Day, but Sunday, the witching hour. Okay, the witching hour this fucking week. All right, I fell asleep. Literally, probably 5 minutes after witching hour was announced, which I will apologize. I will never fall asleep during witching hour again. It's obviously
you fell asleep at a really juicy one. I look back and I was watching because I was trying to sleep, but then I woke up. Oh, I just forget. Yeah, I was trying to fall asleep, but I woke up and I was watching the red zone that we have, and I was like, Georgia's missing some great plays right now. Missing some great games. Yeah.
Here's what I was thinking, guys. Here's what I was thinking. Because this happens, okay? I open up my big mouth. I lose bets, all right? After those first two legs on Thanksgiving hit, I opened up my big mouth. I was like, lock, Patriots, Kirk Cousins, primetime, Belichick, lock, pay me out. It would have fucking got me back to even for the season. We'll get there. Remember, this is red for a reason. We won tonight.
Yeah.
We are hot. What the fuck was I even getting? Oh, okay. I fell asleep during witching hour.
Yeah.
Fell asleep during witching hour. For those of you that don't know what witching hour is when wins become losses and losses become wins. So what I did, right, is, probably the worst thing you do. All my bets were winning going into the witching hour. And mind you, I had all the morning games. I was on top of my shit. I put in a good card this morning and I fell asleep. And I guess we'll just start with the first game that absolutely fucked me. We'll start with the Falcons Commanders game. So I'm like, okay, the Taylor Heineke magic, that only works up until Halloween, spooky season. Taylor Heineke's good all of a sudden. Scary Terry, they're a really legitimate team. I then lose hope on them, and then I see the Falcons team that has literally been in every ball game that they've played in this season. The Falcons cover the spread like a motherfucker. However, they didn't cover it this game. I took the Falcons -4. The final score of this game was 19-13. This game ended on Marcus Mariota throwing a pass that gets tipped at the line of scrimmage that the defender just catches in the end zone. And mind you, I was napping during the witching hour, right? This is a game that I thought in my head was secured. The Falcons were doing their thing. I'm sleeping on the couch. And then I hear a major interception, right? You get the dude, the announcer on Red Zone just gets you, right? He wakes you up, right? And you're just and you look and you see the interception happen. And I'm like, everything that I just had writing on both of these parlays just lost. And it was the worst time to have a minor wake up because mind you, I wear glasses most of the time, people, right? Right now I'm wearing contacts. I had my glasses off to the side. So mind you, everything's just blurry on the screen right now. I'm thinking the Falcons scored a touchdown. I pick up the glasses in very John Orlando-esque fashion. I hold the glasses up to the screen and I watch the interception happen. I put the glasses down and I proceed to have nightmares. Camryn, did you or did you not ask me after I woke up from my nap how I slept?
I did ask you how you slept.
And I gave you a pretty solid answer. I said, I slept pretty shitty. I don't know.
I just kept getting woken up by the Red Zone announcer.
Just bad beats, just throwing left and right at my face. The Falcons have that game at the end. It's just, it's so sickening. Okay. Tell you the game that didn't make me sick though. All right, we'll move on from that Commanders game. We'll go to the next morning game. The Dolphins versus the Texans. And mind you, Camryn, I didn't check this score till now. This game got close. The final score was 30-15.
No, the Dolphins didn't score like at all the second half.
They turned off like
because
they just
I have
said.
Tyreek Hill. He had me 15 points it was the beginning of the third. I looked.
Show yourself.
Oh my goodness.
Restate.
Yeah. So I have Tyreek Hill in fantasy. I still won, but we'll get to that later. But I had Tyreek Hill. He had 15 points at the beginning of the third for me, and then I checked again at the end, still 15 points.
Bullshit.
They didn't score.
That's a bullshit performance, and I was complimenting Mike McDaniels earlier for absolutely shit pumping those Houston Texans early on. The Texans are bad. They are the toilet bowl team. They aren't getting any better. Their backup. It's like I'm literally watching since Deshaun Watson, all this stuff happened last year, and it's kind of been like the same cycle for the past 2 years with the Texans, where you're just like, this is a pretty pathetic team. But on any given week, they can turn it on if their run game's working. But for the most time, they are pathetic.
I also had the over for this, which is 47, and they scored 45 points. How does that happen?
Bad beat.
Why? That's not the only thing that lost, but
bad beat. That is a bad beat.
Frustrating.
Bad beat.
Because I was like, oh, for sure, there's like 30-something points in the first half.
They scored 30 points in the first quarter. You're like this doesn't even happen when two teams play.
Yeah.
Or when two teams are scoring. Yeah, it didn't even seem like the Texans were playing in the first half. But it was, I didn't realize, I took the Dolphins minus 14. I didn't realize how close this ended up being. 15 points. Yeah, I took them at minus 14. Holy shit. That's close. That was almost a double bad beat had the Texans got a 2-point conversion or some freaky shit. Moving on to the next game. This is part of the thumbnail. This was the Titans versus the Bengals game. This was a pick'em across the board for most people on all sports books. Dare I say disrespectful again? How the literally Jamar Chase out and we're making this game a pick'em? And I understand Derrick Henry is rushing the ball like nobody's ever run the ball before. However, I'm going to pull up the stats because the Bengals defense did what they had to do today in slowing down his big ass. He had 17 carries for 38 yards. Let me say that again. Derrick Henry had 17 carries for 38 yards. Now, I'm no Nostradamus, but I do watch football. Watch the Bengals when they played the Raiders. And we'll get to the Raiders game a little bit later, but the Raiders running back today, Josh Jacobs, rushed for 228 yards. Sounds familiar, right? Sounds an awful lot like Derrick Henry. However, right, the Bengals defense is legitimate up front. They stop the run. They have great linebackers, and they're a team that people should not with. No more. They should have been at least 2.5-point favorites. And I know it's in tennis. Like this is where like the home field advantage makes this game a pick'em, because if this game's in Cincinnati, they're for sure 3-point favorites. They're a for real team. People got to stop doubting them. This was one of the ones where I had no doubts in my mind that Joey B, T. Higgins, that amazing receiving core that's taking up in replacement of Jamar Chase. By the way, they're still there when Jamar Chase is playing. They're still a very vital part. They're not bad. T. Higgins ended up, I think, with the 5th most receiving yards today. He had 185 receiving, or my bad. It was like 114 receiving yards, something like that. I'll tell you right now, he had 114. Wow. Did I say 114? Look at that. Memory of a smart person. But the main highlight from this game was post-game, okay, when the Bengals were walking off the field. The Bengals offensive lineman, his name is, what's his name up there? Ted
Karras. Ted Karras.
Ted Karras.
Fired up after the win.
He was fired up. Let me look up Ted Karras. He actually like went off on everybody.
It must be
He's fired up. So I will attest to this. It feels good. Like, this is how that win felt for them, right? They felt that the Titans were being kinged already, right? King Henry's doing his thing again. The Bengals, right? The team that literally made it to the Super Bowl last year. People keep underestimating them all because they don't have one player. That's how that win felt to that offensive lineman right there. You're going to tell us that we're not at the top of the division, that we're not worth being crowned like worthy in this AFC that is quite possibly like it's extremely open right now. There's no team in the AFC that's like that one. That one's going to be there at the end. Not happening. And I would even like say in the NFC, although the Cowboys don't look like that. The Eagles, we'll get to all those situations and scenarios when we get there. But are the Bengals that for real? Yes, they are. 20-16 victory. That was never in doubt. Derrick Henry, 17 carries, 38 rushing yards. I just right up yours, Tennessee. God, you gotta love football. That's raw football, dude. That is
thinking it must feel good to yell that into a crowd.
Oh
That's
my!
just a good feeling.
And you know, it's not like he had Tennessee people around that exit, right? Because Tennessee fans had left by that point, and it was all Bengal fans like at the exit. So they saw it too. Like
he's just yelling to Tennessee.
Oh, if I would, hey, the Saints, pan down on the Saints helmet real quick. Pan down on the Saints helmet. Well, yeah, that way. Get off the fucking thing. Fucking weak ass goddamn team. I'm looking for a new team that's as fired up as that guy right
Lord,
there.
What the? I can't get it.
I'm looking for a new team that's as fired up as that guy.
That's actually why I put the helmet there, because
so I can kick it off.
So you could kick it later. I knew you'd want to do that.
Oh, they make me so mad, Camryn. Moving on to the Jets versus the Bears. Mike White with the amazing start again. He gets the start over Zach Wilson. I was about to call him Jack Wilson. Defeats the Bears. Whoa, did the Bears come back to reality, or is the Jets defense for real? A mix of both. Yes, the Jets defense is for real. You couldn't have expected Justin Fields to have a heyday today. But what Justin Fields did not do is play, right? And I didn't even know that. Trevor Siemian was playing. Did you know Justin Fields was hurt? I did not know that going into this game.
No.
God.
No.
This is a football show. I didn't know. This is two fucking backup quarterbacks going at it. Trevor Siemian goes 14-25 for 179 yards. Respectable. But they couldn't get anything going. Mike White, 22 for 28, 315 yards and 3 touchdowns. It's a Mike White Christmas for the Jets. They were supposed to lose this game. There's Camryn. Currently there's on Twitter, there's a coin that was flipped at the beginning of the season to determine whether or not the Jets would win and lose the games. And up until this point, the coin was correct.
No.
I think
really?
this beats it. I think, yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah. The Jets were supposed to lose to the Bears, but literally for 13 weeks, the coin was correct. Nuts.
Who flips the coin?
It was some dude, and he just like put it on Twitter.
Cool.
He was like, I flipped the coin at this date. This is the coin's picks. I know, pretty neat, huh? Yeah, I would imagine there's lots of other coin accounts that are less less
Did
accurate.
Not get as much notoriety. Or,
Shitty coins. Panthers, Broncos. This was another pick'em, which it's like, can you believe it's a pick'em? I feel bad for Russell Wilson. I keep feeling bad for him because now his team's starting to turn on him. His defensive lineman coming off the field I'll insert the clip here. He was motherfucking Russell Wilson. I only wish I can just get a little tune in on exactly what was said, because what was said to him was probably not the kindest of words. And Russell kind of just looked. He was like, yeah. He kind of just like took it to the chest. He was like, fuck, things are going really wrong. He's a very self-aware person. So when things are going that awry, he's like, maybe coming back a little more down to earth. Maybe he should sell his house. Maybe he should leave the Broncos. I think that's honestly what Russell Wilson is contemplating doing, because it's just not working out. Hey, and if it doesn't work out, listen here, buddy, there is 31 other NFL teams, the Saints being one, that would love to pick you up. All right. As a Saints fan right now, I will say, I'll take Russell Wilson. No, like dead ass. I think he comes in a little more humble. I do think the Saints start another quarterback, but we will get there eventually. The final score in this game was 23-10. Panthers had it from start to finish. I don't want to spend too much time on it. I picked that correctly. Jaguars versus Ravens. So this is a game that would have screwed me too if my Falcons parlay, or if the Falcons part would have hit.
This was juicy.
Yeah,
but then it also screwed me. I chose the Ravens -4. And it was down to I don't remember how close it was to the end, but I remember it being close in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I think
early on.
Did they go for 2? I would imagine if I tapped on it right now, it would tell me the headlines that they went for 2. They gave Justin Tucker a chance to hit a 67-yard field goal that he barely missed at the end of regulation that would have won them the game. But it's just like you're putting Justin Tucker in these tough positions. Man, would the Baltimore Ravens be where they're at today without Justin Tucker? I think that's a solid, no, they would not be where they're at. They rely on this man for everything. Just little bailouts left and right, because the offense of the Ravens is sputtering, and it's sputtering hard, and it's sputtering at a bad time. It's sputtering when the Bengals are taking care of business in that division. It's sputtering when the Steelers have a possibility of beating them later on down the season. I am thoroughly worried for the Ravens. I think that this loss showed us that the Ravens are not that Super Bowl hopeful MVP team that I thought that they once were at the beginning of the season. And like I always say with these teams, prove me wrong. However, you're only as good as what I would say the last 2 weeks show you, right? And the last 2 weeks from the Ravens have not shown me that they are like a team to be worried about. Moving on to my boom game of the week. Okay. We're done with the Jaguars, Ravens. We're moving on to the afternoon slate. We're going to start with the Chargers versus the Cardinals. The Chargers defeat the Cardinals 25-24. When the Chargers decided to go for 2, it was contentious in the house, because I myself had taken a live in-play bet that the Chargers would win outright when they were down 10-0. So I got it at pretty good odds. I got it at plus 340 odds on the money line for the Chargers. $20 won me 90. Okay. When they decided to go for 2 at the end of the game, though, Camryn, you needed what? What was it? Because you were like, God damn it! Like, I was like, what do you mean?
Let me look it up.
Look it up and put the camera on you for a second.
I got it. That's what I got. Hey, look, gotta log in. I think it was like -4. Oh, Chargers -2.5. That's what it was. I wanted them to go into overtime.
Because if it would have went into overtime,
yeah.
or a field goal would have won you.
Or a field goal, something.
They go for the 2-point conversion at the end. And I legitimately, I was so happy. I'm seeing the Chargers soon. I'm going to the Raiders-Chargers game with Kiki. That is going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to probably do like a lot of filming on my phone. We'll probably do like a road trip type style Gridiron Junkeez, except it will be in-house. When they decided to go for 2, I was fired up. I was like, Staley, analytics, let's go for the win, yeah. And he did. And Gerald Everett ran just such a when I say crispy, I mean the Texas route from this man, right? The out and then the in. He shook that defensive back so crucially. And I can't help but to think, there should have been a different defensive scheme written up for the Cardinals. But needless to say, Gerald Everett runs one of the crispiest routes I've seen in a while. gets the 2-point conversion, and I yelled, boom, 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 because I knew it was over at that point. There was no way Kyler Murray was fucking coming back. He's not Josh Allen. That wasn't going to happen. I was fired up over that. Then we get the Raiders versus the Seahawks, and this was another game I had put a little live money in, but it was for the first half, so the second half of the game didn't affect me. But Josh Jacobs putting Las Vegas like on his back. Same with Devontae Adams and Derek Carr. They had a pretty good game. Josh Jacobs, 33 carries, 229 yards, 2 touchdowns. With the 86-yard game-winning touchdown to seal the deal in overtime, just to really stick it to Pete Carroll. You watch this game, right? Okay, here's the one thing I'll say. Amazing win from the Raiders. Watch McDaniels at the end of that game. Watch the head coach at the end of that game. He's so in shock. What would Brian Dable do, right? What would the coach for the Lions, Dan Campbell, do? They would be sprinting down the field, headsets off, let's go, going nuts, showing some sort of emotion. This dude was like in shock. Celebrate. People were like looking at him like, celebrate with me, celebrate. And he's like, it's like, dude, you've won Super Bowls, and maybe it's like I've won Super Bowls, so I shouldn't be hyped over you stole that win. That was not your win. You missed a field goal. You get an amazing stop. You forced them to punt in overtime with 4 minutes, which at that point I thought it was going to be a tie. You steal the game. Go crazy. Show me your emotion. He didn't do that. 40-34 win for the Raiders, so good for them. Chiefs taking on the Rams. Rams playing a backup quarterback. They also suck. The Rams suck. Bury them. They have one of the worst Super Bowl hangovers. Do I believe in McVay? Absolutely not. Do I believe in Raheem Morris? No, he's probably going to be fired as defensive coordinator soon. You can't have all that talent on defense and consistently give up 26-plus points every single week. The Rams suck. I'll tell you how bad the Rams suck. They suck so bad that the teams that have beat them are not that good of teams. Ooh, burn. Okay. Should I save the Saints and 49ers for last? Because it'll be like a event session.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. That sounds good.
Or should I end on a positive? No, okay. So I'll finish this. Okay. Why we're hot today, right? The Eagles defeat the Packers by 6. But we also took a basketball parlay into this, Camryn and I, because we're like, we need multiple legs in this. So we took the Milwaukee Bucks to defeat the Dallas Mavericks. That was also at -6.5. Both of them hit. Our accounts are positive for the weekend, which is like back-to-back weekends. We're making a play. And let me tell you, I wasn't making no baby bullshit plays this week either. Like I'm trying to move this dough. Okay. Young Georgia, move that dough. I'm trying to get back to even first. Once I get back to even, I subtract money. I put that money back into my account. I'm like, okay. It's like we're starting at fresh again. Okay. Week 1 of the football season. We're close to getting there. The Eagles defeat the Packers. And in doing so, Aaron Rodgers is apparently hurt. The Eagles just knew they had that game, like without a doubt. They were running the ball so physically. Jason Kelce is one of the best offensive linemen I've seen in a long time. I would love to have that dude snapping the ball to me. Jalen Hurts, every time he just taps his nutsack, there's like a little magical connection there. They do a little nutsack tap, and it's the engager, right? It's the let's go on every quarterback sneak. Just watch it. Just pay attention every time the Eagles run a quarterback sneak. It's just such a nice little nut tap that Jalen Hurts just gives them. And they are probably one of the most efficient quarterback sneak teams in the league. I'll go off and then we're getting out of here, Camryn. Oh boy. The Saints don't score a point. They're the only team in the NFL this week to not score a single point. Guys, if you're wondering, like, are these guys professional athletes? What do they do all week? How can they practice all week long and get 0 points?
I don't know.
I wonder this question myself. I wonder how in the fuck can the Saints have the ball with goal to go, get down to a 4th and goal, get a bullshit call, right? Like we were gifted another 4 attempts. We had 8 plays with goal to go, and we did not score. Is it Andy Dalton? Let's just figure out, right? Because I'm going to tell you one thing. If you guys know us, ladies and gentlemen, we watch Red Zone, right? Let me tell you the one game that was never on Red Zone. The Saints game. Okay? It was never on Red Zone. There was no need to have this game on Red Zone. It was boring. It was almost as boring as the Miami Dolphins Houston Texans game. To at least they were scoring points there. They were scoring points.
Yeah, at least it turned around,
49ers top Saints 13-0. First to blank New Orleans Saints since 2001. So first shutout since 2001 for the Saints. I thought we had.
No, I thought they got shut out earlier in the season.
I thought so too. We didn't. We at least would score some points.
Oh.
Andy Dalton, 18 for 29, 204 yards. He only got sacked once. But I would imagine that, like, San Francisco had a lot of hurries. How many times did he get hit today? He had hit 5 times. Okay. How do we score 0 points? Our defense is playing insane, because I'll tell you one thing. That 49ers offense with Christian McCaffrey, and I know Deebo Samuel's got a little bit hot, Brandon Ayuk, Jeff Wilson Jr., like, that's a fiery offensive team. We hold them to 13 points. All we got to do is punch it in to win John Orlando some money. John Orlando sent me a text saying, all I need to do was the Saints to win. And I'm going to read off. This will be how I end the stream today, Camryn, because this is how I felt at the time when John said, all I needed them to do was get a win. I said, there's never been a ginger Super Bowl winner, ginger MVP, a ginger president. We make fun of gingers. And when you start a ginger at quarterback, people make fun of your team. I'm over Andy Dalton. Signed, George Carmona. I'm over him. I'm now more prejudiced to gingers than ever because of the performance that he has given us up to this point. I'm ready for Jameis Winston to regain his glory in New Orleans. And then, if he sucks, then let's draft somebody else. But that has been it for week 12, guys. We covered every single game. Bad beats, gave you some stats, how we feel. Went a little longer than the 25-minute timer, Camryn. I'll get better next time. I was a little long-winded today. We can work on our transitions a little bit better. But anyways, Camryn, where can they find you? Where can people find you if they want to get a hold of you?
Instagram, Camryn Lee 97. Twitter is Cammy_Lee. That's about it.
Start putting your pics.
My pics?
Start putting your pics out on Twitter.
My sports pics?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if people want that. I don't want too often.
We'll put your sports pics on a piece of paper, and we'll have you like in a bikini behind it, holding it. Like, that's what the people want. Sports pics and your sexy body. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to find me, I am at Mr. George Carmona on just about everything, at Captain George on Twitter. If you like Gridiron Junkeez and where it's going in the path and all the content that I come out with here, follow Gridiron Junkeez on every single platform known to man, minus MySpace. That's it for George Carmona today. I'm gonna have Camryn toss on the logo here, run the music, and then we're out of here. Thank you. Later, skater. Later, skater. Later. Bye-bye. See you later.